Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. I have the pleasure of welcoming my colleague and friend, Minister Dominic Raab, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the United Kingdom, and his delegation. We are pleased to have him here. A very successful and reassuring visit that took place for the first time since 2008, when the last, I believe, Mr. Miliband, David Miliband, was the last Minister of Foreign Affairs that visited Sudan. We had the pleasure of meeting with the Prime Minister, Dr. Abdullah Hamdok. We talked about the economic cooperation, and Mr. Raab was kind enough to sign a memorandum of understanding with Dr. Hiba, the Minister of Finance, and that memorandum of understanding was about the United Kingdom paying 40 million sterling pounds towards the family support program. Another 300 plus million pounds will be paid from the United Kingdom, and more details will be given to you by Mr. Raab to the ADB, the African Development Bank, and that will go towards paying the arrears of Sudan to the IMF. Also, in the discussions, we included the Sudan debt relief, and the United Kingdom is going to help, as they help in lifting Sudan off the SST list. They are now helping with the program of debt relief for Sudan, working together with the IMF and the World Bank and the Paris Club, London Club, and all these other institutions that are going to help Sudan get some debt relief. The start of the strategic dialogue was a significant milestone for us with Minister Raab. We started it here in Khartoum. More details, and we'll flesh out more of the discussions in London when I visit him sometime very soon in the near future. The government of Sudan had presented its position on the civilian protection program that started with the drawdown of UNIMED, leaving Darfur. Yes, it is true that we have very unfortunate incidents in Darfur since the announcement of the pullout of UNIMED. But then again, we had a few of these incidences when UNIMED was there as well. So there is no foolproof plan that is going to protect the civilians 100%, but we are aspiring to do that. And now the government of Sudan has started, and the troops are already on the ground, 6,000 of them, and we are going to build up and beef up this force to reach about 18,000, plus another 2,000 civilians who are going to work on logistics and stuff. We are just waiting for our partners for peace that signed the peace agreement the other day in Juba on October 3rd of last year to join us. They are some of the logistics that are now delaying that from happening. So once they are coming in and they are committing their troops after the DDR and the full integration of these troops into the Sudanese army, will be able to have a the full plan in place to protect the civilians. We also touch on the issue, the border issue with Ethiopia. And although Sudan doesn't feel that there is any qualm on the border, and the border is well demarcated since 1902, and incidentally, Sudan was under British colonialism at the time, and Ethiopia was an independent state. So Britain at the time was the one negotiating on behalf of the government of Sudan in 1902 when the demarcation took place. And we explained to the visiting delegation that the same plan, the same agreement, the same maps were used to demarcate South Sudan when it seceded from Sudan, and that demarcation was complete. And also Eritrea, when it separated from Ethiopia, they used the same agreements to do that. Remain to be seen if we are going to beef up and intensify the marks that are already in a very clearly defined border between us and Ethiopia. And what happened, we explained to the visiting delegation, is that the Sudanese have deployed in the territory that is completely part of the Sudanese territory. And finally, we are working through diplomacy and negotiations on issues that are lingering between us and Ethiopia. That will include the GERD, of course, and the need to have a binding and a clear agreement on the GERD that will grant Sudan the information with respect to operation and the filling of the GERD in the remaining stages, because Ethiopia unilaterally had started the first stage last year, and we are hoping that the second stage of the filling is not going to take place until we have a binding and a clear agreement that is internationally sanctioned and well defined. Of course, we would like to reassure you and the delegation from the United Kingdom, Mr. Raab and his colleagues, that we are here more and more keen and interested in resolving our issues with our neighbors amicably but peacefully. And there is no any talk here around this region about any war that is taking place. As we heard in some of the news reports, Sudan and Ethiopia are sisters and neighbors, and we are going to resolve our issues easily, smoothly, and through diplomatic means. And now, please, allow me to introduce Minister Dominic Raab to have a couple of words with you, and then afterwards, as mentioned by my colleague, Ambassador Hala Babikir, we will take a couple of questions.